conflicted justice, and the man caught in the middle.
In 2014, Tim Peterson was shot by police, and he lived to tell about it. He says the treatment he got by the legal system was confounding.
Chris Jones with more on Tim's story tonight. And Chris, the DA said the shooting was justified. The jury said that Peterson was not guilty.
Yeah, and those contradictory conclusions have been playing out over a 19-month period, and they all started in this nondescript parking lot in West Jordan.
It's a phone call
He's supposed to be getting out of the jail today.
John Peterson had been waiting for nearly 2 years.
Well, it's going to be a good reunion, I guess you might say.
His son Tim in jail for 19 months, charged with aggravated assault on a police officer.
It's been hell. It's been hell on my mind.
After a legal odyssey,
I told my attorney that, no deals.
that started simply enough in this West Jordan parking lot, July 10th, 2014.
I just knew something bad was going to happen.
Police were looking for Tim Peterson. He'd seemed unhinged, had violated a protective order, and on Facebook had threatened to shoot officers and vowed to commit suicide by cop. In this Facebook post, Peterson said, quote, "I'm going to shoot the cops if they come."
You'd been making threats that you might shoot cops if they came after you, and you said, "Bring it on," things like that. I mean,
Like I said, I was frustrated for one night. You know what I mean? I was. And what does that have to do with this guy pulling up and shooting me?
well, they might say that they were already on guard, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm running away. That's the least threatening thing you can do to someone.
And that night, Officer Ian Adams, fully briefed about the case, was on high alert when he came across Peterson in this parking lot.
As soon as he's getting out of his car, I take off running.
Let's stop you. Why did you run?
Something told me, just something, you know what I mean? Like you have that sick feeling. And this is a split second. I throw the beers down, and then shots rang out.
Shot fire!
Boom, boom, boom.
Start medical.
Did you think you were going to die?
Oh yeah, I thought for sure I was dead.
How many times were you struck?
Twice.
10 shots?
10 shots. Struck twice.
Just north of the
Police later found that Peterson did not have a gun, rather a hunk of metal crudely fashioned into a pistol with a laser pointer attached to it, a butcher knife, 2 small knives, and a pair of scissors.
This person turned around and pointed this item.
The district attorney's office found the shooting justified, citing the threats and these frames of body cam video that they say suggest Peterson may have been reaching for a weapon and turning his body to confront police.
So those motions that he saw were typical of somebody going for a weapon, and so the officer drew his firearm and fired in protection of his own life.
Yeah,
Peterson says he wasn't reaching or turning, but rather running for his life. Tim's fate would now end up in the hands of a jury. At this point in his case, it appeared hopeless. The DA had ruled against him. His bail was way too high.
It ended up going up to $140,000 cash only.
And he would sit in jail for months.
It's almost like being thrown down a well and you're screaming and no one can hear you.
He'd been offered a plea deal by the prosecutor, but refused.
Why would I plead guilty to something I didn't do? Why would anybody do that?
Yes, sir.
So you were willing to stay in that hellhole?
I was willing to give up 15 years of my life to stand up for what's right.
Then 19 months after the shooting, his 2-day jury trial. And Officer Ian Adams takes the stand and testifies that he felt threatened.
And why is your gun coming up?
Because I perceived a threat at that point.
What did you think you were seeing?
Somebody pulling a gun from the waistband.
But Peterson's attorney, Ed Brass, presses Adams, asking if the video shows anything being drawn by Peterson.
We've just been through these videos. Can you stop that video and show me a point where he has a metal object in his hand?
Not on that video, no.
Okay.
Has the jury arrived at a verdict?
Then the verdict.
We, the jury, duly impaneled in the above entitled matter, unanimously find the defendant, Timothy James Peterson, not guilty.
When they read the verdict, I started to cry. I could barely breathe. It was just one of those moments where the weight is lifted off your shoulders.
Got shot up there.
This is the first time Peterson has been back to visit the scene since he was arrested.
I'm angry. I am. I can't lie about it. I'm mad.
And he can't understand the scales of justice, how the shooting can be ruled justified on one side, but a jury can find him not guilty on the other.
It doesn't make sense to me.
This verdict does not take away from our conclusion in finding that shoot to be justified.
District Attorney Sim Gill admits
There's not
There's an
balance there.
incongruency there.
Yeah, talk to me about that.
First of all, we're doing two very different kinds of analysis. We're doing two very different kinds of context of that analysis.
Gill says state law gives police wide latitude when confronting danger, and Peterson, even before he was confronted by police, had caused officers to be on edge thanks to his social media post.
It's not either or.
Gill says the jury's job is different. Jurors must look at all the evidence and decide beyond a reasonable doubt, a high legal standard. Or to put it more plainly, jurors better be darn sure when deciding if Peterson broke the law. Gill says these are two different criteria within the same complex system.
That's our system. And we have an obligation to present it to the jury. The jury, as a jury of its peers, gets to weigh on it, and we respect the integrity of that process.
It's been a long time. Thank you.
Tonight, Peterson will sleep in his own bed and try to come to terms with a justice system that is awash in contradictions, and he will try to reclaim 19 months of his life.
How do you get that back?
You don't. You can't. It's impossible. It's 19 months of my life that's gone, and it's 19 months with my children I can't get back.
Now, Peterson was struck twice, both times in the buttocks. One of the bullets remains in his body, the other exited out of his leg. As for what he'll do next, he's talked about the possibility of a civil lawsuit, but he says there's more things to look into. At this point, he has to rebuild his life. He was recently divorced from an ex-wife, the woman who he violated that protective order with, and also reaching out to his children after all of this has occurred. Guys, back to you.
Wow, interesting story, Chris. Thank you very much.